So many times when somebody is talking about, or we are observing the resurrection of Jesus, it's naturally it's around Easter, around the spring. But sometimes I think we miss a point if we don't observe it or at least think about it during the autumn. Autumn is a time where things are definitely visibly changing. You look around and you see leaves that are changing colors very beautifully, but then they're also dying off. You see trees just kind of taking on a different shape. The world doesn't look as lifelike as it does in the spring. I think that might be how the two Marys were thinking, how they were feeling before they met the resurrected Jesus. It was Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Mary Magdalene, who were kind of there, at the tomb, from the time that they put Jesus in the tomb to the time that, they were just kind of overseeing things. The book of Matthew talks about them actually approaching the tomb, and an angel visits them and says, that things have definitely changed. But I wonder what that walk was like as they were approaching that tomb, before they knew anything. To them, death was still death. Jesus, they saw hang on the cross. They witnessed him take his last breath. To them, Jesus had died, and things had definitely changed for them. It was a time of mourning and a time of grief and a time of significant loss. They were actually not going to see if Jesus was there. They were going to help kind of take care of the body, a ritual that they would often do. And, it was just a time of sadness, of letting go. There had been rumors, and people were still trying to decipher what Jesus meant about raising in 3 days. But you know what? When you see somebody die, you don't really expect them to come back. And even people like Mary Magdalene and Mary, even the mother of Jesus, I'm sure were conflicted in their thoughts and confused. And right now, the main thing that they were feeling was probably replaying images of him hanging on the cross, replaying images of him taking his last breath, of being taken off of the cross, of being put into the tomb. It wasn't a time of celebration or anticipation. It was a time of great sadness. And then something happened. Something happened with that angel telling them that everything that they knew had changed. The mourning, the grief, the death that they witnessed. Something incredible has happened. That's where I think that we celebrate and observe this time in the fall. We know that when the fall hits, we know that the leaves are falling and they're dying off, but we know that come spring, things will be renewed again. Do we know that in our faith? Do we know that there are times when we experience loss, we experience grief? Are we sure during those times that, like in the spring, Christ's renewal of life will renew things and make things whole again? So often I think that we live in the grief and in the loss, and we feel that there's no hope. It's like seeing the leaves fall and not thinking that anything is going to grow back. Do we have the faith to know that where things die off, new life will begin? Do we have that kind of faith? Are we assured of that? It was easier possibly for Mary Magdalene and Mary, Jesus' mom, because they physically saw him. They physically saw the risen Christ. For us, we experience Christ in different ways. Maybe we experience it through our prayers, our meditations. Maybe we experience it through our sorrows and griefs. Maybe we experience it in the love of Christ. Maybe we actually experience that through each other. But do we keep our eyes out open for that? Or do we just sit thinking that all is lost? I pray that whatever we're going through in our lives, whatever fears we have, that we don't feel like everything is just over and everything is at a loss, and that we run to quick fixes and politicians and things like that, when Christ is actually saying to us here today, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I've still defeated death. And tomorrow, for you, there will be a spring again. I hope we can hang on to that. I hope we can hang on to that feeling of knowing that even in our darkest days, with Christ in our lives, things are going to be okay. Things will be okay. Love God, love yourself, and love your neighbor.